This lesson is so much easier than the last lesson. It's actually pretty simple. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't make it harder than it has to be. All right, people tend to take this and try to make it hard. Just make it simple, all right? This is lesson, I believe, 29 and 30 in your textbook. Actually, that's not true. 29 is graphing coordinates like we did in our face-to-face time, like X and Y coordinates. And lesson 30 is the first jump into what's called linear algebra, graphing lines, which is my favorite part. And today is super easy. We're going to use a thing called the T-chart. You're going to be given an equation. It's going to have a Y and an X in it. And you're going to make a T-chart. This textbook tells you to find 5 possible solutions. And here is where people make this harder than it has to be. We're going to make a T-chart. Okay? We're going to have an X on the left and a Y on the right, just like our ordered pairs X and Y. You are going to pick any 5 values that you want for X, because Y equals 2 times X minus 1. So whatever value you pick for X and plug in there, that's going to be a given value for Y. And here is what I'm going to tell you to do. Pick 5 very easy numbers. I always pick -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And I'm going to tell you, go ahead and pick 2 negatives and 2 positives. That's not that important right now, but it will be later. Those are the 5 that I always use. And literally all we have to do is plug these values in for X and solve it for Y. So basically, if I give X the value of -2, then Y is going to equal -5. That is a terrible 5. Okay, if I give X a value of -1, then Y is going to equal, I don't know what that is, -2 minus 1. When X is -1, Y has a value of -3. If I plug in 0, Y equals 2 times 0 minus 1. That's going to give me a value of -1. If I plug in +1 for my X, I'm going to have 2 minus 1, which is 1. If I plug in 2 times 2 minus 1, which is 4 minus 1, which is 3. So this is a T-chart. I'm going to pick any 5, I did that really fast, I'm sorry. I'm going to pick any 5 values for X. Again, pick easy numbers. Go ahead and pick 2 negatives, a 0, there's only 1 0, and then a 1 and 2. Plug those values in for X and solve the equation for Y. That's your first step. That's why you want to use easy numbers. I mean, if I pick -23, I'm going to have a lot more math to do. So pick simple numbers for X, 5 of them. If it tells you to find 3 possible solutions, then pick -1, 0, 1. If it tells you to find 10 possible solutions, pick 10 simple numbers. But pick values for X, plug that in and solve for Y, and then you're going to graph that. So let me clean up my space here and then we'll graph it. Okay, so we have plugged in values for X, we've solved for Y. So what we have now are ordered pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ordered pairs. That is as crooked as can be. Let me try that again. There we go. And we're going to plot these points. Remember, we always go X, then Y. So my first point is -2, -5. So there's -2, -5. There's my first point. -1, -3 is my second point. 0, -1, 1, 1. And if you'll notice, I am forming a line. And then you're going to connect it, and that is the graph of that equation. So you're going to need 2 parts for your answers. You're going to need the T-chart, and you're going to need the linear graph. Okay, so you're going to pick 5 points for x. You're going to plug those values in for x and solve for y. Then you're going to plot your points. That sounds like a lot, but let's do another one, and it's really not a huge amount of work. All right, I've already driven, that's not the right word. I've already drawn my T-chart over here. It's a little bit big. Okay, we need to find 5 possible solutions. So we've picked 5 values, and then I'm going to plug them in. And guys, if you have your calculator, you literally can just like type this in, which is what I'm going to do for time purposes and for space purposes. So 3, -2 plus 1, I get -3. So when I plug -2 in for x and I solve it, I end up with -3. All right, so if I plug in -1, y equals 3, -1 plus 1, I end up with 0, because -1 plus 1 is 0. If I plug in 0, I end up with 3 times 1, which is 3. Now I'm doing this real quick, all right? You're going to get to practice one in a minute. 3 times 2 is 6, because I'm at a space to sit and actually work this, and you guys know how to solve simple order of operations. So 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. So when x is -2, y equals -3. When x is -1, y equals 0. When y equals 0, nope, when x equals 0, y equals 3. When x is 1, y equals 6. When x is 2, y equals 9. So let me clean this up and we'll graph it. So we're going to make a T-chart. No, we've already made a T-chart. I'm going to make a coordinate system. There's my x, and there's my y, and here's my x. And I'm going to plot my points. This one's going to have to go up to 9. So actually, I'm going to draw this a little bit higher or lower on my x-axis. So when x is -2, y is -3. When x is -1, y is 0. When x is 0, y is 3. I'm going to run out of room. When x is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, y is 6. When x is 2, 7, 8, 9, y is 9. And my line's a little bit curved because I'm not drawing it to scale, but if I had pencil and paper and a ruler, it would look a little better, but you get the gist of it, right? So pick values for x. Plug those in, solve for y, then plot those points. Here's a weird one that you're going to see, okay? We're going to do it the same way. We're going to do a T-chart for x and y. -2, 2, 0. Apparently I can't draw a straight line. What in the world have I done? Hold on. Okay, so if x is -2, y has to be -2. If x is -1, y has to be -1. If x is 0, y has to be 0. If x is 1, y is 1. If x is -2, y has to be -2. And then I just plot it. -2, goodness gracious, -2, -1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, and there's my line. Don't let that kind of a problem freak you out, because you will see one of those, and it's just that simple. So you have 3 steps really. Pick values for x. Number 2, plug those in and solve for y. Number 3, plot those points. And that's it. Homework is all of lesson 30. It sounds like a lot, but I believe if my memory is correct, it's all of these. It's just this. It's just T-charting and then plotting points. Remember, we're doing it in your textbook. I'm going to take that textbook up next time we're face to face and grade everything. All right, let me know if you have any questions.